this morning, gunmen forced their way into a northeast side home and start shooting dangerously close to several children.
Luckily, none of the kids were hurt, but 3 adults are in the hospital this morning. Charlie Cooper joins us from SAMC. That's where the people are this morning. Charlie, how are they doing?
Good morning. Well, the aftermath of this shooting was no joke. 3 family members in critical condition here at SAMC this morning after essentially minding their business last night. Kirby police say one of the people, a woman, was on her front porch around 11:30 on Surveyor Drive when 2 men came up to her and attacked her, forced her into her home where there were 2 other men and even kids inside. That woman and those 2 men were shot several times, and again, they are here at SAMC in critical condition. The saddest part, though, is that those kids had to watch this all go down. Luckily, though, Barry and Sarah, none of the kids were injured. But again, these people are in the hospital recovering, and police are searching for those 2 people right now. Back to you.
And we're so glad to hear the children are okay. Charlie, thank you.